What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure EVil MMA. This is your host, as always, Evil Eddie, back up in this thing after a crazy end of 2024 with a lot of questions left in our heads of what is to come. And man, we are not going to be let down, because one of the biggest things that came out when I got home tonight from work, Dana White announces a new fight card for February, and this one truly looks like it's right out of an AI. Check this card out. We got Henry Cejudo returning, right? We got Rob Font. I'm going to try to get him back on here. He's going to be fighting Dominic Cruz, Edson Barbosa versus Steve Garcia, Brendan Allen, who's another vet here on Pure EVil MMA. But check this out. This is what I found that was kind of odd about this card, right? You got a number 5 ranked fighter. You got a number 3 and a number 4 ranked fighter, Macy Chiasson, who's been here on Pure EVil MMA as well. We're trying to get her back on for this. And you look at this, and I commented, UFC just told me I'm on the early prelims. Guess my fights are so explosive, they need to be contained before the main card can even handle them. I mean, how would you feel for this? And the only thing I could think of is this got to be AI. Because if you guys remember Habib, he was talking about Cejudo returning. And Cejudo, he's been fighting a bantamweight. It's been since 2019 I have him here for a featherweight. And he was like the original Brandon Moreno when he came out. When Mighty Mouse was going through his thing and they were trying to pump up these pay-per-views, people weren't tuning in from Mighty Mouse. And he was such an explosive fighter. Every single fight he was putting on against Dodson, against Reyes, against everyone that he came in contact with. It was explosive. So he got into a matchup with Henry Cejudo. And Henry Cejudo, they were trying to boost him up, this Olympian, this guy, future champion. Well, didn't end up being his calling at that time. And then he went into the cringe era. Well, this guy, he's back. He's back. I wasn't really happy with his last performance, but Dana White, he says, we have not been to Seattle in 12 years. I will see you soon. So this is going down February 22nd. I'm pretty excited about it because the way 2025 has started off so far, let me bring it back for you guys. The way that we usually start the years in the UFC, especially, after a Risen event. Shout out to Shorty for him on the Risen card. 2016, we had TJ versus Dominic Cruz, which I still think TJ won that fight. But Dominic Cruz, he was out for a while. He had all these surgeries done. He returned. TJ was the champ. He goes in there. Again, who did he go in there against? And Barao. And no one was really expecting TJ off the Ultimate Fighter. He had all these special privileges while he was on the Ultimate Fighter. Kind of cemented himself as a bad guy. But you ended up loving the dude against Barao. Just slaughtered him. And then Dominic Cruz returned. And we had that in 2016 to start off January. 2015, we had DC versus Jones with that heated ending. There's a lot of confusion there with him losing the title that year to the hit and run against the pregnant woman, and then the failed drug test, then the UFC 200 where it failed for the picogram, all that. That was our 2015. Also in 2015, we had Conor versus Dennis Siver to start off the year. Lawler versus Condit was 1 year. Stipe versus Francis, 2018. That's when Conor did the cowboy fight. We could go back. There's so many great cards to start off every year. But this year we have Mackenzie Dern returning. And though there's been a couple weeks that we haven't had any excitement, right? So I'm a little excited about it, but it's not like a big name card. And for this one as well, you have all these ranked fighters. Rob Font, Dominic Cruz. I mean, say what you will, but he's not even ranked anymore. Henry Cejudo, Song. You got tons of named fighters here. Not a pay-per-view card. Going into this year, we got high expectations if this is what they're going to do. Because Dana also came out, this is the AI card. That's what I'm guessing. I love social media Dana White text, and I'm excited to be a small part of the future in AI emerging technologies. So Dana White joins the board of directors at Meta, aka Facebook. So this seems like a good start for what we can expect for 2025. And if you had to guess, if you had to pick some crazy fights that you want to see this year, I know there's Tom Aspinall in the mix. They're trying to throw him there against Ankalaev or Jon Jones, trying to build up this legacy. And Tom Aspinall can kind of look at that and be like, what does that really do for me? I mean, he could take that fight, but he really wants the Jon Jones fight. And the way that you do that is you build a story, you build excitement. Jon Jones, Dana White, the love connection, right? If Dana White really has this big announcement that he left us with a cliffhanger in 2024 with, and everyone's going, what the hell is going to be going on? Logan Paul versus Conor McGregor. Conor tweets out $250 million. I'm waiting for it. Poor Michael Chandler's been on the couch for 2 years, trying to get a fight going. And now somebody, I forget who tweeted this, but it was a great tweet. $250 million. That's 20 careers for Michael Chandler. He'll never see that type of money. And Conor's going in there, he's going to be fighting Logan Paul, which to me seems like we're not going to see Conor return anytime soon if that's the case. If that's what they're throwing out there. $250 million. Now, I got this tweet from Wayne McDessie. He says, brother, remove this post. It got me released. Now, this post is actually referring to the amount of money that he got paid by the UFC. Now, if you go to his Twitter, he actually talks a lot about stuff that the UFC is really not too friendly with. Let me bring you guys who are tuning into the video podcast. If you're listening to audio podcasts, their biggest platform, go to YouTube, guys. Subscribe there. All these downloads every single episode on the audio show, but nothing on the YouTube channel. What's going on here? Am I too ugly? Like, what the hell is going on? So let me bring you to this. John McDessie tweets this. He was really upset, wants me to take this down. Let me show you guys exactly the tweet that I posted. It's of his salary. They don't make that much money in the UFC. If you have the UFC video game, they show it right there, how much you're going to be paying for a fight camp, how much this costs, how much that costs. Your manager, you're going to have to pay them. If this is the reason that he's messaging me to take a post down, that's truly concerning. That's opening up a lot of questions in my mind. Like, why would the UFC want to hide something like that? Because Jon Jones just came out this week. He wants $30 million for his fight against Tom Aspinall. Now, if you go back to last year, one of the biggest media stories of the year is Francis Ngannou leaving the UFC, standing up for fighter pay. Now, if you think of it and what he's going to make, what he made in boxing, Dana kind of puts it all in a deal. He's going to make this amount of money for this amount of fights. Well, Francis, he's kind of somebody, all right, Dana, he's going to let go. Jon Jones, Dana loves Jon Jones. $30 million is nothing to the UFC. You had Tommy Toehold. Tweet of the week goes to Tommy Toehold for bringing this one out, because all they want to talk about is the gates, which really means that the ticket prices are going up. If you want a ticket for a UFC event, thousands and thousands of dollars. The WWEs, they're bragging about it. They're on Netflix now bragging about it. Tommy Toehold, this is what he tweets. WWE and the UFC bragging about record gates is hilarious. The arenas aren't getting bigger. It's bragging to your investors about it. But announcing it to fans is effing funny. Hey, our ticket prices are the most expensive they have ever been. Congrats for having to pay the most to the new fans out there. This is money. Like, I'm about to get my tax returns. I go to work every week at Snipes, right? I come home. Every check, I get paid bi-weekly. It's really not that much money. $1,200 every month, $1,500 every month. That's nothing. You have fighters going there making, $60,000 off a fight. You're paying your manager 15%, maybe $15,000. You're paying a nutritionist. You're paying this one, that one. And then the taxes come out of it. And he wants to believe that the UFC is letting him go because of something like this. What do you guys think about this? Him actually messaging me. Go look at his Twitter page. I mean, for Canada, it's upsetting to see stuff like this. And immediately I messaged him like, what do you mean? Did the UFC? It was a couple months prior to this that he's been released, but all over Reddit. Big news, Jon Jones wanting $30 million. Conor McGregor, $250 million. I mean, the money is clearly out there. So is it the UFC that's doing something wrong, or is it the UFC that's hiding something and pocketing the money so Dana White can have snow on their front yard for Christmas for his children, if you guys remember that? You got fighters going to BKFC, fighters going to GFL. And we're all wondering, how are they going to make it? PFL joining with Bellator. I mean, it's it's 2025. There's millions and millions of dollars out there, not coming from us, but the elites out there. Going to Abu Dhabi. People can complain all they want about the time that it's going on and, early morning, we got to stay up. Here in the USA, we get treated, right? You got people like Big Marcel over there up to 4 or 5 in the morning. Over in the UK, people are up to 3, 4, 5 in the morning. They got work the next day, but they're up for the love of the card, right? People are wondering why PFL and Bellator are overseas doing this card. It's like a 12, 16-hour card. It's because that's where the money is. And right now, they need that money. The UFC is getting that kind of money. They're bragging about gates. I mean, I don't want to see the elite still getting the money. If Wayne McDessie is really getting released asking reporters to delete a comment, you want me to cover something up and erase it? I want to for the benefit of him, if that's the reason. But as a true journalist, you sit there and you think, you're releasing your pay stub. And if you're being 100% honest, because Dana White will go out there and he'll talk, hey, this is not what they're really getting. He won't even want to let the fighters to tell their managers when he goes backstage and goes, here's a check for another $50,000. But I'll remember going back to Ultimate Fighter Joe Giannetti, right? Destroys everyone there on that season. Bryce Mitchell is out of that. Violent Bob Ross out of that. At the beginning of the show, he goes in there, one of the quickest knockouts, one of the quickest finishes in Ultimate Fighter history, right? And he goes, Dana, are we still getting those fight bonuses? Now, I had on DC and Khabib's striking coach, Rosendo Sanchez. That season, Cain Velasquez was in there coaching, DC was coaching, Stipe was coaching. Why was it Joe Giannetti? And don't tell me it was because the end of it, in the finale, he wasn't that exciting in that fight. Because you go back to Ultimate Fighter and you see all the excitement that Joe Giannetti brought. Sometimes it's matchups. Ask Khabib about Ask Khabib about Daryl Horcher and matchups. And put it on your best performance. Is that the reason? Or was it because Joe came on the podcast to discuss that he did not get that money from Dana White? There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind scenes. And it gets really dirty. There's a real mafia out there inside mixed martial arts, inside the UFC. Inside the PFL. It gets dirty. I released an episode from the past about Fedor not getting paid the right money, planes being shot down, people being, it's a dirty world out there. It's a real dirty world. So let me know what you guys think about this, because Jon Jones wants $30 million. And if you're the GOAT, you're the duck, the owner of the company loves you, going on shows saying, what's the most exciting fight that I want to see? It's Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. It's looking really good for Tom. But what if I told you this? What if they have something else up their sleeve? Because now this is being brought to the table. People are talking about it. Tom Aspinall might have to take another fight. It's not on his time. It's on Jon Jones' time when he's ready. Right? What if I told you the exciting news isn't the Logan Paul Conor McGregor thing? Because if that's the big news, Dana, you're tending to a different audience than what me and the diehards that I know from doing this podcast for 10 years now really want to hear when you mention something like that. You go back, you look at Bellator's biggest cards. Tell me what that big card was. It was Ken Shamrock, Royce Gracie. On that same card, Kimbo vs. Data 5,000. Biggest card for Bellator. They blew up. They started getting picky with who they wanted to be on press row after that. They signed all these new UFC fighters, right? After Benson Henderson came over, signing Roy Nelson, Ryan Bader, you name it. They start getting picky. The money gets in this situation, right? MVP comes over. Michael Chandler comes over to the UFC. Now, Michael Chandler, he's learned a lot since coming over to the UFC. You look at Eddie Alvarez and the fights that they had back in the day. Shout out BKFC, Eddie versus Stevens, BKFC, for Knucklemania coming up. He's been doing it for so long. MVP has got the love back in the day, but not now in the UFC, right? Ian Gary and him go in there. Not a favorable matchup. But what if I told you MVP, what an exciting fight, MVP versus the Bullet Sarah. That's going to be a really exciting fight that I'm pumped up to see. Where MVP is finally going to showcase. Because if you ask me, he's got so much potential. We've wanted somebody like him to come over. And for someone like Sarah, he's not going to take him down. And if he does, it's going to say a lot. This is the perfect fight. This is going to be an epic fight. And for those fans out there that aren't familiar with MVP and the dents he's put in people's heads, this is one that I'm truly looking forward to. Now, what's another card that we can look forward to that Dana White's talking about? Could it be Jon Jones, Brock Lesnar, Jon Jones, Alex? What is the craziest fight that you could see in 2025? Because this new bout order with Henry Cejudo and all this, I mean, it's getting crazy. I'm excited about it. What if I told you that Francis might be coming back? Could it be Francis Jon Jones? I want to see Jon Jones going there for the legacy. Because right now for Tom Aspinall, and if you're looking at the legacy and the way that things are, what if Tom takes this fight against Ankalaev, right? He's looking at like, all right, my future can go one of two ways. I lose here, and I'm set back for another year, year and a half, until I can raise that status to get that shot with Jon Jones again, even though he's the interim champ. He's questioning himself about what legacy is. Jon Jones, he can go in there. He's looking for the big money. Is he going to get $30 million for that? Do people even know who Tom Aspinall is outside of the diehard community? People barely know Colby Covington fight, Sean Strickland, Sugar. A lot of these UFC champions right now. People aren't familiar, but they know Jon Jones. So if anyone's going to get it, it's going to be him. But is it going to be against Tom Aspinall that he gets that money? Let me know what you guys think at XEvilEddieX on Twitter. Also at Pure Evil MMA _. Guys, Colby Covington, he's talking shit. He wants to move up. He wants to move down. Against Sugar? Against Sean Strickland? I would like to see him go in there. He's getting a lot of hate right now. He's been doing a lot of talk. You know, Kobe's known for that. But he is a good fighter. And a lot of people aren't giving him the credit that he truly deserves. I cannot stand when people go on social media and they argue that this fighter isn't all he's hyped up to be when he's fighting the best of the best in the world. To be in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, you need to be the best and the best of the world. Colby Covington is one of the best in the world. And he's still calling out some of the best in the world. So if he loses one of those fights, to me, those are the fights I'm looking forward to, win or lose. Because it can go either way on any night. So I'm sick of all that hate. Now, Habib's going out there talking shit about Ireland. What if I told you Habib's coming back? What if I told you Habib's going to come back? Who's he going to fight? Is he going to be fighting Conor McGregor? No. Conor McGregor is never coming back to the UFC. I would be more shocked for Conor McGregor to the UFC. For Conor McGregor to come back to UFC than I would for Habib. That's the point I'm making here. What he's showing with Logan Paul, that's a huge sign to everybody. I love what I'm doing. I got all these allegations out here. But is it going to come up? Conor's got this huge leg injury. He's not coming back. That's something that we're going to have to swallow. I've lost a lot of respect. His cocaine dealers lost a lot of respect for him. Cuts ties with them, as reported. It's all in the past. The way that 2025 is starting couldn't be any more perfect. I want to know what you guys think, what you're excited for 2025. We're going to be doing a show 3 times a week here on Pure EVil MMA, so subscribe down below. This is just a little taste of what's to come here for 2025. Let me know down below. Steve Lady from Pure EVil MMA. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. Bueno, hasta el día.